Hello friends, I am Dr. Vikram Jaggi. I am the Medical Director of Asthma, Chest and Allergy Centers at Delhi and Gurgaon. These are highly specialized centers dealing with asthma and allergy, where asthma and allergies are looked at in their totality, right from diagnosis to treatment to alternative systems, research, etc. And today we are going to discuss the usual queries of patients with asthma particularly, but also with allergy, the kind of questions they usually ask the doctor. These few questions I have sort of created from my experience with dealing with asthma and allergy patients for the last 14 or 15 years or so. Many times the question patients ask is, Doctor sir, what is asthma and what is allergy? And are they the same thing or is there any difference? See, they are the two sides of the same coin. Asthma is a kind of allergy. Allergies is a broader term. Allergy could be is a tendency to be overreactive or oversensitive to certain things which are normally present in the environment. For example, pollens, fungal spores, dusts, danders, many medicines, certain foods. Most of these people are exposed to them, but they don't react to them because they are not allergic. But a person who has an allergy, when he is exposed to these things, he will have a reaction because he is hypersensitive to these very things. Let's take an example. Allergy of the nose, runny nose, blocked nose, sneezing, etc., allergic rhinitis, what it is called, is a kind of allergy of the nose. Allergies of the skin could take the shape of urticaria or eczema or certain rashes. Now that's an allergy of the skin. But when the allergy occurs in the air tubes, in the form of wheezing, of cough, tightness in the chest, etc., that is asthma. So allergy is a broad area. Asthma is an allergy of the air tubes. They are not exactly different. When somebody doesn't like the word asthma, somebody might use the word allergy or allergic bronchitis, but really speaking, they are the same thing. Many times it is written in the newspapers, etc., about an asthma or allergy epidemic, that asthma is increasing and increasing at alarming rates. It is indeed true that asthma and allergies are indeed increasing at a very alarming rate in most countries of the world, especially where development is taking very fast. Today, asthma is maximum in New Zealand, in UK, and in Australia. India so far is a little down in that list, but we are soon catching up. What are the reasons? The reasons are, as far as I can see, our wrong way of living, our artificial or so-called Western way of living, which means eating the wrong kind of things, fried stuff, junk food, things with preservatives, things with color, and not eating the natural kind of things, raw fruits, vegetables, etc. Too much exposure to house dust and fungi in the form of carpeting, closed doors all the time, closed windows all the time, too many stuffy toys in the house, etc. And not the right kind of immune stimulation in the form of too much hygienic living, not having cats and dogs in the house. Early use of antibiotics. At the drop of a hat, every infection is killed by an antibiotic, so that the immune system doesn't develop in a proper way and starts moving towards the allergic way. Since it has got no work to do, it just misbehaves. Whatever thing which comes in contact with it, it starts reacting to that. It's said that an empty mind is a devil's workshop. So something like that. Pollution, of course, is an important area which is increasing asthma. Asthma in Delhi nowadays is about 3 to 4 times more common than it was about 20 or 30 years ago. In children, asthma in Delhi is about 15%, which means out of 7 kids, 1 child will have asthma. Earlier, maybe in a class of 30 or 40, you would have 1 asthmatic or maybe not even that. Now in a typical class you will find 5 or 6 asthmatics. It's very common. In adults the same situation is there. It is estimated by WHO that asthma is increasing every decade in most countries by about 50%. And if we continue to do that, you can imagine how much asthma is going to be prevalent. So yes, it is increasing, and it is increasing alarmingly, and we must be aware and take steps towards that. The next aspect is, what are the typical symptoms of asthma? How should a person know that he may have asthma? Or what happens in an asthma patient? What symptoms does he expect? What does he have? See, there is a typical case of asthma, which is coughing, which is wheezing, which is tightness in the chest, which is shortness of breath. These are typical cases. This cough and wheezing will occur mostly at night, mostly in the early morning hours. It is associated with change of season. It gets exacerbated when there is an exposure to smoke, perfume, smells, tadka smell, etc. When there is some major dusting going on, major painting going on in the house, paint, varnish, etc., etc. These are typical cases of asthma. But there are cases which are a little atypical or different. The old saying is that diseases, they don't read textbooks. They behave in their own funny and peculiar way. So we have atypical patients also, for example, only coughing. Now these are sometimes difficult to diagnose. This is particularly true in small children. They will not complain of shortness of breath or wheezing, etc. They will only have coughing as the first manifestation of asthma, which particularly happens when they play, when they run about. They just stop and they start coughing. So that is a clue. Another area where there is sometimes some problem about diagnosis is very elderly people, because they have so many other reasons which can make them cough or wheeze. For example, taking certain medicines, for example, blood pressure medicines. Some of them are notorious for causing cough. They may be an old smoker. So we don't know whether it is smoking related bronchitis or whether it is asthma, and it is important to make an exact diagnosis for the proper treatment to occur. So sometimes there are some diagnostic difficulties, but by and large the diagnosis of asthma is quite straightforward. When a doctor who knows what asthma looks like, he sits down with the patient and takes a detailed history. More often than not, he is almost certain that this is a case of asthma. Further investigations are only required to confirm the diagnosis. So how do we confirm that diagnosis? As I said, important thing is to take a very accurate history. Is it asthma? What brings it on? Which seasons? Which months are good months? Which months are bad months? How severe is the asthma can be found out by talking to the patient. What is the extent of his disability? Is he able to sleep through the night? Is he able to walk upstairs with ease? So these are some of the things which have to be looked into. Then the second aspect of diagnosis is it truly asthma or is it something else? Here we would like to do a lung function test, a spirometry. That's a test in which you breathe into a machine, and whatever you are breathing in and breathing out is all measured. The air is measured. So you measure the lung capacities and you measure the air flows. In asthmatics, the air flows are very reduced. For example, this is a normal airflow. An asthmatic would breathe like. So in the same duration of time, he is able to breathe out much less, so his rate of blowing out air is reduced. These can all be tracked down on a graph, something like this. What is expected to be normal? What are the value the patient has? And what percentage of normal are that? And some graphs can be plotted. This tells us the extent of the obstruction, whether the obstruction is in the big tubes, mid-sized tubes, small tubes, and more importantly, which kind of medication is capable of opening or relieving this spasm. When we say spasm, so this is a model just to show what is the meaning of spasm. This is a normal looking air tube. It is not constricted. These are muscles which are running around the air tubes. This is the normal situation. In an asthmatic, it becomes like this. There is inflammation in the inner lining of the air tubes. This is the first thing to happen. It releases certain chemicals which causes constriction of these muscles and causes phlegm production. So basically we are talking about three things. One, inflammation, one, constriction, and lastly phlegm getting stuck. All of these together cause difficulty in the free flow of air. So this is the meaning of constriction, obstruction, etc. So we have talked about spirometry. There are certain other tests also which a doctor would like to do. These are very simple blood tests like TLC, DLC, absolute eosinophilic count. They tell us the extent or the number of eosinophils in the blood. Eosinophils are the cells which are related with allergy. In asthmatics, usually they are high in number. Then there is a test called immunoglobulin E or IgE, which tells us the genetic tendency about allergies. So these are some simple blood tests one would like to do. We would also like to do some sputum tests, some bulgum tests, to see the extent of eosinophilia which is in the sputum, which tells about the allergic inflammation going on in the air tubes and the level or lack of control of asthma. So this is one aspect of asthma diagnosis. Is it asthma? How severe is it? There's another third aspect about the diagnosis of asthma, and which is what are the reasons behind asthma? What are the causes behind this particular asthma? And that is best done by doing what is called an allergy test. That is a skin prick test or a skin intradermal test, in which the usual causes of allergy or usual causes of asthma, which are pollens, fungal spores, dust, danders, etc. These are one by one injected into the skin intradermally or pricked into the skin, and then a reaction is observed which usually occurs within 20 minutes or so, and it tells us for this particular patient what are the causes of allergy. For example, his allergy is caused by Parthenium, which is Congress grass, or Prosopis, which is Kikar, very very common in North India, house dust, cockroach, certain alternaria, certain fungi, etc. etc. Now, having found that out, then we can guide the patient how to avoid these things, because that is ultimately the treatment of any allergy. If you know what you're allergic to, you try to avoid those things. Certain things we find out would be avoidable, but certain things would not be. For example, if somebody is allergic to Parthenium, for example, and he lives in Gurgaon, he's exposed to Parthenium all the time. We cannot simply say that you now shift to America. So sometimes then we make the vaccine against those very things, which is given in increasing doses, and then the person slowly becomes desensitized or hyposensitized, which is called allergen specific immunotherapy. This we will discuss a little later in the treatment aspect of it. So this is about the confirmation of diagnosis of asthma. The next question is, how do we normally treat asthma? You see, my feeling is that any chronic disease, the word should not be treatment but management. It is not simply that the patient comes and the doctor will write a prescription and the patient will follow that and he will become all right. When we are talking of chronic diseases, be it asthma, be it diabetes, be it blood pressure, be it heart disease, it has to be managed in a very comprehensive sort of way. So what in my view are the important components of treatment? I think are 5. 1, right medicine, right dose, delivered at the right place. That is one component. Second component, patient education. You have to educate an asthma patient what causes his asthma, how to go about preventing it, what to do in these situations or that situations, so that in effect, with the help of the doctor, the patient becomes an expert in his own condition. He learns what causes his problem and he learns how to manage it. Third and related component to the second is partnership with the patient. The patient has to be supported through thick and thin by his doctor, who is not only knowledgeable but also compassionate. He has to become the friend of the patient, that I am there to help you, to guide you, but yes, you can do these things yourself. It should not become that the patient becomes too much dependent on the doctor, but the patient has to be made self-reliant. So this is a partnership. That is number 3. Number 4, avoidance of allergy causing things. The patient has to be educated what causes allergy and how he has to avoid that. And the 5th is specific immunotherapy, allergy vaccination, giving them in increasing doses so that eventually the person becomes less sensitive or desensitized to these very things. Now let us come to them one by one. Let's first talk about medication. About 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when we were medical students and we were taught about asthma, we were taught that asthma is a disease in which there is spasm, and you give a medicine which relieves the spasm, and that's the treatment of asthma. Now we know spasm is only one thing. Before spasm is this inflammation which occurs, which releases chemicals which cause constriction, but also releases hundreds of other chemicals which can permanently damage the air tubes. So simply relieving the spasm is just not good enough. We have to control the inflammation if we have to control the asthma and the bad consequences of uncontrolled asthma. So this is the difference in treatment now, and this kind of an inflammation is best controlled by inhaled corticosteroids. So how do we deliver the inhaled corticosteroids? Steroids are medicines, are hormones, which when given to a patient orally in the form of a tablet for a very long time can have side effects. So we cannot give like that. So we have to give them locally. It has to just go inside the air tubes, work over there, and not enter the bloodstream. In the last 10 years or so, whatever advancements have been made in inhaled corticosteroids, they have been made in the line of not efficacy but safety. Efficacy means effective. We have very effective medicines. We are not looking for more effective medicines. We are looking at safer medicines, which means whatever goes inside should not be absorbed. It should just act locally over there.